Hiya! Welcome! I am sure that most of you, hopefully all of you, have noticed that I'm not Jimmy Barnes. I'm in fact the Geeky Heathen. Hey, what's up? And I'm here because it's time for us to have a slizzle! Woo! Into Jimmy Barnes' mind as we dive straight into some Q&A.
Hiya! Welcome! So this is my ultimate Q&A featuring some of my amazing YouTube friends. And I've decided that I'm going to split this one into two parts. It was meant to be a finale for the VideoADay project here in April on my channel, but because I've had so many of my friends and fellow YouTubers send in so many amazing questions, I've decided I'm going to split this into two parts to make it more manageable. So then we've got part 1 today, and then part 2 will be in 2 days time. And therefore, if you want to send me any questions via video, audio, or even just write a question in the comments or send it to me through one of the messaging services, you have, from when this video is going up, just under 2 days left. So if you can get me some questions in by midday on April the 30th, then you will feature in part 2. But I've got a lot of people asking me questions here in part 1. Let's crack on, and the first question is from a Mr. Liam Nally in Liverpool.
Hello Jimmy, hope you are doing well. So my question is, if you could only listen to one album for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
I'd hate to listen to only one album for the rest of my life because there's just so much music that I like. But if I had to, it would be Technique by New Order. New Order, of course, are my favourite band. Technique was released in January 1989. That is just an album that is so consistently good, and it's full of sunshine. It's sort of awash with Balearic influences and the emergence of acid house. It's an album, Liam, and anyone else for that matter, you've got to go and listen to it yourself and find out exactly why that is my favourite album of all time. Liam's got another question for me.
So my second question is a good one, I reckon. If you're hosting a dinner party and you can invite 5 guests, so celebrities, dead or alive, who would you invite?
Oh, brilliant question. 5 celebrity guests. Well, my number 1 guest I think would have to be Tony Wilson. For those who don't know Tony Wilson, absolutely legendary figure here in the north of England. The King of Manchester, I called him. Sadly been dead now for about 13 years or so. His legacy lives on, particularly in Manchester. He was a newsreader for Granada Reports. He was more pertinent to me and my interests, the founder of Factory Records, which of course was the label that carried bands such as Joy Division, New Order, Happy Mondays. Tony Wilson was just an amazing raconteur and had some amazing stories. Definitely Tony Wilson. Second guest, I would have to invite, purely for my own purposes, Monica Bellucci, the absolutely ravishing Italian actress. Yes, need I say more? Third guest, I think I would like to invite Brian Clough. Of course, he was a footballer and he got a couple of caps for England, but more famously known as a very outspoken football manager. He also did some football punditry on television back in the day. I was kind of young to really appreciate Brian Clough in his heyday. In fact, you could argue his heyday was before I was even born in the 1970s. But former Derby manager, former Leeds manager, very briefly and very controversially. And of course, he led Nottingham Forest to their first league title and 2 consecutive European Cups. I just think he'd have a lot to say for himself. I've got 2 more guests left, haven't I? Bloody hell, Liam. This is a big dinner party. I wonder who's going to do the catering for this. Not Abigail, I hope. Right, next. I think my 4th guest would have to be the nature boy Ric Flair. There again, absolute legend. Wrestling being a big interest of mine. Ric Flair's just got story after story about his many years, his 50 odd years in the wrestling business to tell. I respect that guy so much. Absolute icon in this business, and there again, like Tony Wilson, just like a really good raconteur. Someone who you can listen to talk for hours, really. And my final guest, I don't like the fact that Monica, my date for the evening, is the only woman there. We better bring another woman in, and then there's less chance of Monica catching the eye of one of the other male guests because she's mine. She's not someone who speaks a lot, but I think in an intimate dinner party setting, that'd be where you'd really get to know someone. Is a singer who I have been a fan of for many years, not the most fashionable singer in the world, and on the rare occasions I've seen her be interviewed, you know, she's got such a really nicely spoken manner to her. I love her Irish accent, and I feel that because she's such an intensively private person, there'd be a lot to sort of scratch under the surface for, and that would be the Irish singer Enya. Yes, I think it would be nice to have another beautiful lady at the dinner party, as well as Monica, and Enya would be my 5th dinner guest. Bloody hell, Liam Nally has asked the 3rd question. Okay, Liam, take it away.
That's another good one. If you was Prime Minister for a day, what would be your first order of business?
Well, there's lots of things that I could do, and I'd like to think that I'll be doing them for the good of the nation. I think the first order of business would be to stop funding Trident and tax the rich, and make sure that anyone who was disabled or ill in some way, mentally or physically or both, received the benefits and the compensation and the welfare and the help and support that they were entitled to, without any of this jumping through hoops that we've had to do under a Tory government all these years. That's probably more than one order of business there, but there we go. And I wouldn't give a shit how much it cost the rich people who can afford to be taxed more, so that the poor and needy are helped, certainly, and stop funding fucking nuclear weapons. Thank you for those, Liam. And I will move on now to a question from all the way down in Kent, Rach QA.
Hi Jimmy, my question is, if you would have had the day at Funko, what Funko Pop would you make?
Thank you, Rach. Brilliant question. If I was at Funko HQ and they said to me, we'll make you whatever Funko you want now. Oh God, that is such a difficult question really, but a really good one. I could choose one of my dinner party guests maybe. I would say Phil Mitchell from EastEnders, because I just think that'd be really funny. Can you imagine being able to buy a Phil Mitchell or Steve McFadden Funko Pop? It'd be quite a simple one, but I think if you just sort of got the detail right, it could look great. I might look on Google, see if anyone's done a mock-up of it, and if they have, I'll put a picture up, but I don't know. It's not something I've ever looked for. I'd say, yeah, please make me Phil Mitchell in Funko Pop form, just for shits and giggles. Alright, thank you, Rach, and we move on now to Leicester, where the Pop-Tart has a couple of questions. Sorry, I belched then while I was talking.
Oh, hi Jimmy. What would be your fancy main event booking for WrestleMania? Any wrestler, any generation, alive or dead? Right, back to my shower. See you later.
I'm honoured, really. That is the sort of influence that I've got now here on YouTube, where my friends and fans and supporters will interrupt their own daily hygiene rituals to ask me a question. I am deeply honoured, Tarty. My fancy WrestleMania main event, or indeed on any WWE show, but for me it'd be a WrestleMania match, and it really ought to be in the main event, would be Shawn Michaels in his prime versus AJ Styles. Frustratingly, this is a match that theoretically should have happened in the noughties, but WWE just weren't interested in signing AJ Styles in that decade. Shawn Michaels obviously came back from a first temporary retirement in 2002 and went on to be perhaps arguably an even better performer than he was before his first retirement. 2002 to 2009 time Michaels versus AJ Styles. That would be a 5-star match, that, or 6 stars, or 7 stars, or however many Dave Meltzer gives his favourite matches now. It's a match I don't think we're going to see. I know Shawn Michaels did come back very briefly for that Saudi show last year, but the less said about that, the better. Tart's got another question for me. Take it away, Mr. Teasdale.
Hi Jimmy, it's your old mate the Pop-Tart. I'm just thinking, what do you prefer, the American office or the UK office? What do you think of Jimmy Barnes, mate? Can't call him that.
What did that horse say about me? It's got to be the American office. I think anyone knows that, really. I like the UK office. I'd go as far to say I love it, but the American office is just Thank you very much, Pop-Tart. And now we move down into Hampshire, and not suitable for Mum. Your favourite flatulent hobbit, and mine has a question for me.
Hello, Jimmy. So, you wanted a question. You rack my brains what to think something that would appeal to you without being too generic. So, my question is, if you could form a ultimate supergroup of musicians, singers, etc., who would you put it in it? And it can be anybody at all. They don't necessarily have to be musicians, but ideally that would make sense. Yeah, good luck with that one, mate. And I'll see you later.
Ultimate music supergroup. Wow, brilliant question, Jase. Just to make it easy for myself, I'll stick with like 4 members, I think. Right, so on bass, Peter Hook from New Order, because he is the greatest bassist of all time. On drums, I would say Christoph Lorenz from Rammstein. Just so full of energy, really drives the Rammstein sound for me. I would like a keyboardist in. I'm very much into electro music, electronica, and there's some great keyboardists out there, but I think I would go with Chris Lowe from Pet Shop Boys. He needs to be in this supergroup. I'm not sure he is much of a guitarist. He can probably play, but I'm gonna pick Dave Garn for Depeche Mode to be my vocalist. I think that his voice is just one of my favourites in the whole of the music industry over the last nearly 40 years. I don't know if he would sort of double up as guitarist. From my experience of Depeche Mode, I can't remember seeing him play the guitar very much. We've got a keyboardist, we've got a bass player, we've got a drummer. We'll manage somehow. That's my ultimate supergroup. Don't ask me to name them though, Jase. You can think of a name, like the Fannies or something. Thank you for that question, Jason. Marvellous. This has been quite in-depth already, and still lots of questions to come, including what looks like about bloody 50 from over in Milton Keynes, Mr. Heathen himself, first name Geeky. Go on, Glenn, take it away.
What movie do you watch over and over again without getting tired of it?
The movie I can watch repeatedly and not get tired of it is 24-Hour Party People, my favourite movie. Just go and seek it out, go and watch it, because it is brilliant. It just speaks to me for my love of both British comedy and Manchester music. It's the perfect film for me, it's the perfect movie. Another question from Glenn.
If you could choose any 2 franchises to have a crossover, what would it be? And why?
Everyone else who would do this sort of thing would say, Marvel and DC, or Batman and Iron Man, or something. Because I walk to the beat of a different drum, I'm going to say the franchises I would like to see crossover, and I think theoretically it could happen, is Coronation Street and Emmerdale. They're both on ITV. They don't exist in the same universe, but you could imagine that they would. Interestingly, I believe there was kind of a crossover between them some years ago. I think it was on a straight-to-video special for Emmerdale, and the Coronation Street character Reg Holdsworth turned up. I've never seen that, but Reg Holdsworth was one of my favourite Corrie characters in the 90s. Unless I'm misremembering this, I'm pretty certain he appeared in an Emmerdale video special. I would like to see it happen just properly. Steve and Tracy McDonald go on holiday to Yorkshire, and then a couple of days later you find them turning up in Emmerdale Village, drinking in the Woolpack. For me, that would just tickle me a lot. But there we are. Okay, another question from Glenn.
If I stay, I will be trouble. If I go, I will be double. Should I stay? Should I go? What are some of the dumbest song lyrics you've ever heard?
I've heard some crap song lyrics, even some of my favourite bands. Some of the lyrics you listen to and it's like, well, that's kind of rope. Geeky's got another question. He's just dominating this, isn't he?
Ow, you shoved me. I'm sorry. Let's kiss and make up. Edit that bit out, Jimmy. Edit it out. What's some of your favourite toys growing up?
I loved the Fisher-Price turntable. They did a few turntables, Fisher-Price. They did actually real turntables, which I sadly never had. I would have loved one of those, which played real records. And then they did the ones for their own sort of fake toy records, the funny sort of thick plastic discs with the bumps in them. I had like a carousel one. You could play a fake Fisher-Price record on it, but it was designed like a carousel at a fairground. I remember playing with another one. I don't know if I owned that or whether it was like a cousin or someone who had it, but looked more like a standard record player. Another toy I loved growing up was my radio cassette player. You can tell I'd be into music when I was older because all of these things are sort of music related. But there was a little cassette recorder. I don't think that was Fisher-Price. I believe it may have been Tommy. Fisher-Price, no doubt, did something similar. It had a little mic built into it and it was just nice and portable, and I loved that as well, just being able to just sort of record myself or record what was around me at any point. And also I loved the Commodore 64 for many years as well. Glenn again.
Do you judge a book by its cover?
I'd like to say no, but I think I have done. I think we all have done. We all judge people without kind of getting to know them. We just sort of take a look at someone and think, yeah, I've made my mind up about him or her already. It's something I try not to do, but it's difficult for me, and I think it's difficult for everyone. Anyone who says, no, I never do that, I think is probably telling some porky pies, really.
Yesterday is history. Tomorrow, a mystery. Today is a gift. That is why it's called the present. What's your favourite movie quote?
Probably quite a rude one, actually, just because, like, I think the first time I saw it, and it is in one of my favourite films as well, but it just made me chuckle because the whole scene, I think, looking back on it, I'm sure if it was meant to be kind of dark and a little bit sort of unsettling, but for me it was more comedic. It's when Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs is putting his makeup on and he tucks his chap in between his legs and he goes, would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. I can't do the voice. I don't want to go too far down that road because I'm feeling uncomfortable standing here talking about a man tucking his lad in between his legs. Right.
What mythical creature do you wish really existed?
I'm going to say hobbits because when I watched the Lord of the Rings films back in the day, I just loved the look of Hobbiton and just their little houses. They were all obsessed with food and drinking, and that just spoke to me. Of course, you could argue that hobbits do exist. Jason Clow, not suitable for mum, in Hampshire, he's at least part hobbit, and he even says he has the hairy feet to prove it. Right, on with Glenn, who surely must be running out of bloody questions by now, Glenn.
Pineapple on pizza.
No, 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 no pineapple on pizza for Jimmy Barnes. No.
Should toilet paper hang over or under?
I'm an over-hanger. If it hangs under, I think that's a little bit unusual. I don't think you can sort of get quite the good pull on it. And it just looks wrong. Some things, it's like, they won't do you any harm no matter how they are, but they just annoy you, don't they? And I think when I go into someone's bathroom or a public toilet, see the arse wipes and then hanging under, it just gets on my nerves for some unknown reason. Right, this will be Glenn's last question, I believe.
Do you believe in aliens? Well, this is going to kill me. It's the last bit of tinfoil in the house.
I like to have an open mind, and I do believe that our universe is so endless, so infinite, that theoretically there has to be other life forms out there. Whether they are vastly inferior to us or superior, I don't know, but yes, I believe in aliens, as in I believe there is other life out there. If not in our universe, then in one of the multiverses, maybe. So I think that's probably a good time to end part one. Thank you to all of you who asked me questions here in part one. Liam Nally, Rach Kappa, the Pop-Tarts, Not Suitable for Mum, the Geeky Heathen, and his many, many questions. I really enjoyed answering those, and I've still got more questions that I know are waiting to be answered, and I'm still waiting for other people to send me their questions. So that's why I'm going to end this here with part one, and join me in a couple of days' time for part two, and that will be the proper finale for the VideoADay challenge here on Jimmy Barnes' channel in April. And don't forget, you can still send me all your questions to any of what's on screen right now. I'm going to go, and please will you join me again and contribute to part 2 of the Ultimate Q&A in 2 days' time. Cheers, everyone. See ya!